With loads of business advice flooding the industry, it has never been harder to see the path to success. And you can't take action if you don't have clarity. Get clear on the actionable tips and strategies that will help to scale your business here on Masters in Clarity, the podcast that brings you clarity around messaging, business growth, digital marketing, personal development, and the business owner's journey to success. Let's join our guide, the master of turning clarity into action and lasting impact, Dolores Hirschmann.
I'm so excited for my upcoming interview with Christina Frei. Christina is, she's pretty much held every job, and she has come through to the role of a marketer and marketing teacher, marketing coach, from a place of really understanding who her clients are and helping them understand or unlock their true identity. I mean, I've met with Christina before, and I just fell in love with her approach to teaching marketing because it's very aligned with what we do here at Masters in Clarity when we talk about trust funnels. So you don't want to miss this interview with Christina Frei, because it's not just an interview. You're going to find tons of strategies and tips that she will share with you on how to market your message in a way that is authentic, unique, and that makes you stand out. So don't miss it. Well, Christina, I am so excited to have this conversation because we are both marketers, but there's so many different ways to do the marketing thing, right? There's so many different ways to really bring our messages and our work to the world. So talk to me first about your journey. I love what you're doing as a marketer and as a teacher. So how did you get to this point?
Yes. So I really focus on four, what do you call them? Verticals. So I just want to speak to them because I really have been studying each of those verticals for so many years. Life coaches, real estate agents, financial advisors, and wellness professionals. Now for each of those, right? So I've had like life coaches forever. I've worked with many financial professionals just in my own life. I was a real estate agent for a while, and I've invested in a few properties, and I continue to, just study that. And then wellness, I've been on a wellness journey since 2003-ish, like really intense, and have studied that. So let's just start there, right? Just studying the industries that I work with. Not only that, but I also have been on a pretty strong spiritual path, and, which took me to Berkeley, California for a while. And I was studying how to really manage my attention for a while. And that actually led me to create a mindset tool that I now use all the time, which I call the generosity practice. Mm-hmm. And, I can kind of connect all the dots, but I'll pause for a moment if you have any questions or.
Well, yeah, no. And I love, first of all, I can tell you're a marketer because the riches and the niches, but it's not just as a strategy. There is power in being really clear on who you serve and why. And what you're sharing is it's not just that I chose those people or those verticals to serve because I needed to pick some and I picked those, but these are verticals that you yourself have been very vested in, whether it's as a client of these service professionals or both as a client and a provider in this vertical. So I think that's, if you're listening to this episode, it's going to be an interview with Christine, but have a piece of paper and a pen, because embedded in this interview conversation, they're going to be very valuable marketing lessons. So I love that, just that we're talking avatar without really talking avatar, and the importance of really being able to get in your client's shoes and see the world as they see it. So continue.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And so the mindset tool is what led me to the work that I do today. And so what I did was in 2014, I was in this big transition in my career. And I always knew that this particular mindset thing that I had created out of thin air, very unexpectedly, was something I could always lean on. So I really used it with everything I had. And it turned my career around really quickly, as far as like, oh, now I have these lucrative contracts that seem to fall in my lap, and something got activated in me as far as like, I just knew who I needed to contact and they all had great work for me, things like that. And I just started teaching this tool to people who had not done a ton of attention management stuff in Berkeley, California, right? So, and by the way, it was specifically the Berkeley Psychic Institute, right? I spent hours, thousands of hours, just looking at people's energy fields and learning tools how to manage my own attention, which is ninja in this day and age of all the, the millions of ways our attention is diverted. So I take great pride in that, that I really spend a ton of time, like, I can sit in a chair and focus on one thing and be in a whole different world if I feel like it for like 10 hours straight, So
I'm writing it down. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna check that one out.
Yeah, they're still active and incredibly valuable. So when I had people in 5 countries try this thing out for 30 days, the generosity practice, I got results in the form of very lo-fi videos. And one of the things that I learned is that the business owners told me they marketed much more consistently, much more boldly. They were like, people who were not inclined to get out there consistently were just like, I just feel huggy. I just want to go out and help people. I love doing this. And I'm better in sales negotiations. Who knew? Because some people could just get out of their own way and not be worried about closing the deal. And it was all because of the generosity practice. And just a quick word about what the heck that is. It basically has you decide every day, what is the coolest way that I could be a contribution to life, to the people around me, to the world. You basically decide that. So it's a generative, creative, decisive practice. Actually, you need to get out of your own way, tune in, step into the unknown, and let something drop in. That's where the power of the practice is. And then all these amazing results. So again, I'll pause again. There's more to the story, but let's just, yeah.
It's funny that we were talking, and I'm not sure when you, the listener, are going to listen to this recording, but it is early November. And it's funny that you're talking about this because we do a workshop every other month, and it's a workshop that is for our clients, and we charge a little bit of money for people who are not our clients to attend. And yesterday I had a team meeting, and I said to my team, I said, I don't know why, but the vision workshop of December, we always do a vision workshop where we plan 2022, it's going to be free. This was my decision yesterday. It's like, you know what, this year I just want to help as many people as I can in that workshop just show up powerfully for 2022. And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And so you're giving me a framework for what I was feeling yesterday. So for that, thank you. But I agree. I mean, there's many layers to this. There's layers that are our own kind of what gets in the way of solopreneurs and personal brand businesses, which is sometimes is that I don't want to sell myself, and it creates so much noise that we stop doing anything consistently, let alone marketing. And that, when we flip and say, wait, the sell is part of the process of serving someone powerfully. And there's no judgment around it, because it's just, if you are hungry, you eat food. If you're thirsty, you drink water. If you want to serve powerfully, then you have a framework and a way to do that sustainably, and that's a business. But what I'm hearing from you is lead with contribution, everything else will follow.
That's pretty much, yes, well said. And it's incredible to watch. I never thought this is where all of this would go. And so I will share with you kind of the last bit, which is after the business owners said that to me around, oh, I'm a better marketer, really, I was like, oh my God, I need to listen to that and just go with it. So I did another field study, 40 business owners over 4 months, and I created their marketing plan and came up with their core message. And the way that I did that, I started with this, inner journey, where in the process of doing that inner journey, they basically figured out their favorite way of serving other humans beyond just being a real estate agent or a life coach. No, what you, the human. And so I just called that archetypes, right? Like now I call it your innate marketing genius archetype, but it was this archetype of service, of joyful service, something that is life-giving to you, hence sustainable. Things like master of ceremonies, like for a lot of life coaches, like a wizard of bringing out the best in everyone, right? Or an adventure guide, which then became a category eventually, but adventure guides, like people who see what's possible even before you do, and they're just ready to just inspire bold action for people. So that was really like, that blew my hair back. And then I studied all 40 archetypes and I found really strong categories, which is now nurturers, adventure guides, door openers, steady presences, and celebrators. And each one has different gifts to bring to the table. But the cool thing is it really shows you how to tell a better brand story, because if you operate from that deep why, which your archetype reveals, then you know how to magnetize people with a better story from that place. Like you're already, hey, I really care about you. I'm going to unfold and unpack this work in a super caring way based on my deepest why. Like everybody wins in that scenario. So that's a lot of the work that I do, is like, how do you take this magic voodoo archetype and translate that into a story, a strategy, et cetera, et cetera.
Then let's dive into that, because my next question is, let's talk about your work. And I know, you talk about being a marketer and how you are different as a marketer, and the difference between the marketing brain and the client service brain, and how you basically, your clients, and I know that you and I talked offline on this, but that your programs are about 3 months long.
4 months.
4 months long. So in 16 weeks, you take someone from where they are to being an unstoppable, consistent, efficient, and converting marketer in just 16 weeks. So let's talk about in detail, what does that look like? And
Sure. And I'll just use one of the life coaches that I worked with recently as a model. So I had a life coach come to me. She's sort of a career and life coach, and her marketing looked like this. She was doing a little bit of, I would call it unfocused networking, right? Just showing up, being friendly, hoping for the best. She was doing sporadic social media posting. There was no email list, and there were a few other things, right? Maybe she did a spotlight talk here and there. It was very random. And I mean, she had some clients, but it wasn't very compelling.
Yes, and it wasn't consistent.
Right. So then with our work together, she did 3 big things that I think are different than a lot of other marketing approaches. Number 1, she started off with 30 days of the generosity practice. And that just, again, it makes you unstoppable, because you're like, I can't wait to get out and serve, which then gets you over yourself when you have to do something scary. Like for her, it was getting out and giving talks, right? So that was another piece. So that was, I would call that step 3, but I'm going to talk about step 2 in a minute. So we figured out she needs to give a talk about the biggest thing she sees holds people back. So she did a whole inner critic talk, right? Taking a stand, becoming a leader, like really helping people with this information. And the step I kind of skipped there was, what's your deepest archetype, right? She's a nurturer, but she's a very specific kind of nurturer. Like she creates sanctuary in a room, like a group, and just brings out the best in everyone. Hence, I call her a wizard. So we like figured out her deep archetype. And then one big strategy that really establishes your expertise and also shows your humanity, shows that archetype. That is a really big decision to make, because everyone's like, I can't just do one marketing strategy. It's like, believe me, if you do one marketing strategy, like I'll just give you this example. Her talk translated into a way to get people to sign up for her email list, ideas for articles anytime she needed them, videos when that was appropriate, stuff to invite people to on social media and her email list and networking groups, right? I mean, there's just, I could go on. Like one strategy equals like 10 strategies when you commit to the right big strategy for you.
When you commit. And I think what I'm hearing is that in that work that you do with your clients, you don't do what most marketing coaches, if you want, would do, which is tell them what to do.
Right.
But what you really do is you wake them up and you empower them to do marketing their way. And so it's really the commitment is not so much the hard part, but what you're saying to them is, if you commit and trust and don't keep on going for the next bright, shiny object syndrome of strategy. Oh, I have a new coach. I'm going to hire a new coach who will tell me something different. That didn't work. Let's go hire another coach. And that's what people do. They just go and hop from new fad of marketing to new fad of marketing. And what you're saying is that, well, we picked one lane and we committed to driving that lane for at least 6 months. You can't test anything unless you do it consistently for at least 6 months. And so obviously it's going to work, because anything you do consistently will work. Like if you eat vegetables consistently, you're going to get healthier. If you eat McDonald's every day, you're going to get unhealthy. It's just what it is. Like, it's not about a big moment. It's about the micro moments.
Yeah. And you're also making me realize something that I'm not sure I really got until you just said that, which is, I think one of the reasons that is it's the sneaky reason why I have people do the generosity practice for 30 days. I'm asking you to commit for 10 minutes a day, sit your butt down in that chair, and you need to make some decisions and visualize some stuff. It's going to be life-giving. You just need to trust me on that. But if you can show me, I think this is what happens. If you can show me you can do that, then you're willing also, you just get better at adopting a new habit. Because frankly, I'm just realizing more and more that your marketing becomes your lifestyle. It needs to be a daily thing, pretty much. So you need to choose wisely.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you have, brilliantly, you're combining, the habit part of this with I love that you use the term life-giving. You're combining the habit side with life-giving strategies that don't feel tiring, nor do they have a lot of baggage in them. I mean, people come to you and say, if I do a Facebook Live, I will throw up. And by the time, I'm assuming, but I'm sure it's true. Yeah. And by the time they're done with you, they can't wait to do tomorrow's Facebook Live.
Yeah, that is really well said, because even though it's my job to identify the right strategy for anyone I'm working with, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a comfy, cozy strategy. That's kind of the point. You are going to be a leader in a way that you might not be used to. I want you to feel support, and I also want you to feel unstoppable, even if something is new and feels a little bit like,
And you're also helping them focus on a micro goal every day. All you need to do is go to bed tonight knowing that you contributed something to someone powerfully.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. And everything else will be taken care of. I love that. So what are you looking forward to in the next 12 months? We are about to end another big year.
Honestly, my own way of getting out there and making a difference in the world as a marketer is to give talks. So the one thing I cannot wait to do is to get up in front of people in person again and just love them up. I am so excited for that. So that's number one. The other thing is, as a responsible business owner, I'm also making friends with the internet in a way that I've never done before, meaning it's time to help a total stranger come to my website, get to know me, and understand this work enough to be like, oh yeah, I get it. That's been a transition. My website has been secondary. Now it needs to be a bit more primary. I don't know how long this pandemic is going to go on. So I just need to operate accordingly. And that includes SEO articles as well. So SEO friendly articles that I'm spending a lot of time on. So making friends with the internet and getting back to talks.
I love that.
That's it.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about that, because one of the things that we talk about in the podcast is clarity, but clarity without action is like prepping the salad and then eating a cheeseburger kind of thing. And you're talking about, you have clarity about things you need to do to become digitally attractive in a consistent way, and that so that you can build relationships with strangers, as you said, and nurture them. So that's clear. What's gonna get in your way on taking action on that? I know you're assertive and decisive on this, but
Yeah.
we all know that things get in the way, because I think by you sharing what will get in your way, I think our listeners will understand that clarity is great, but without a clear plan of action and accountability, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Well, I wrestle with the same things my clients do, which is, oh my gosh, the shiny toy of marketing that I want to chase after and do really well. Like, oh, I want to get on Clubhouse and be this great expert. Oh, I want a beautiful Instagram feed that gets me tons of hot leads or whatever. I would love to do a YouTube. I mean, is there anyone in business who is not tempted by all the amazing ways to get out there and change lives and just be out in the world? So I absolutely resonate with that, or I struggle with that sometimes. And the other thing is just the overall sense of fear that's in our culture right now because of the pandemic that would not have me reaching out, picking up the phone, sending an email to possible venues because I'm too afraid of even asking, like, could I give a talk? Like, that fear is real. People, there's so much like, you have to follow these rules, and there's knee-jerk responses to like, oh, we can't be in person yet, or like just, and making each other wrong because you're approaching the pandemic this way versus this way, and who feels safe and who doesn't feel safe. And that still is in the air for us. Mm-hmm. So I'm absolutely like, I probably need to meditate more to just kind of be okay with that and get over my own resistance to that, because it's just human. I get it. So I would say that. And those are kind of the biggies. And I would just say lastly, like, I just have the whole thing about making friends with the internet is one big exploration. So I hope that I can keep my head on straight about that and not expect too much, right? Just keep studying, keep exploring. Like, okay, try this, how about this now? Instead of, well, I'm not getting clients yet, like just being really upset about that. So honestly, a lot of it is mindset. And then there's just getting back into the flow of giving talks like it's normal. I can't wait till it's normal again.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what is one book, podcast, or Netflix or Prime series we should all check out?
Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, does it have to do with marketing, or can I just say anything?
Oh, whatever it is.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You guys have probably seen this already because it's sort of blowing up on Netflix, but it's Midnight Mass. And the reason I loved it, this is a spooky series by Mike Flanagan. He did Haunting at Hill House and Haunting at Bly Manor.
Is it very scary? Because
it's not too scary. It's just disturbing, and it's very character driven. Like, it's really brilliant and rich. But what I absolutely love, I'm not going to do any spoilers because you could totally ruin it with some spoilers, so I won't go there. But I will say this. It is a beautiful and entertaining exploration of fanaticism, right? Yeah. Seemingly normal people in a small community on this really small island. I don't even know where it's supposed to be. And what people justify in the name of their beliefs. Oh. It is mind blowing. And it is so relevant to what we're all going through right now with, like, whether it's your own response to the pandemic, people's need to believe certain things, any polarization that's happening on any front. This takes it head on. This is how humans can get crazy when they believe something strongly. Like, it's the most beautiful cautionary tale I've ever seen, I think, on that level. Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to put it in my list. And here's the thing with this podcast as well. I always invite our clients our guests to invite our listeners to take one action after listening to your episode. So what is one action our listeners could take?
One action is discovering what your marketing archetype is. I spent about a year figuring out how to translate everything I talked about today into an assessment. So I have like this assessment on innatemarketinggenius.com. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes. And just a quick word, like, if you take that assessment, you're going to discover if you're a nurture, adventure guide, door opener, steady presence, or celebrator, maybe a combination of the two. And just know that assessments are fallible, but they are also a way to start, like, look at those 35 statements and really think about them and be okay with, you know what? I don't want to serve people in that particular way. I want to serve them in this way. I think a lot of times as service-based professionals that want to help everyone, it's really hard to admit like, nope, I actually don't want to help people in that way. That is hard. I get
it's
that.
hard. And I mean, and especially for the empath and the giver. But also I remember when I started, I said, I think someone warned me, is like, well, you don't want to have a lot of one-on-one clients. You're going to get tired. And I'm like, oh no, bring them on. And then you're like, I changed my mind. Like, because you just so want to get started that anything goes. And then as you go, you realize that some activities or ways of serving drain you, and some activities and ways of serving give you life. They're life-giving. So I think that's what the assessment.
Yeah, just a quick example. So like, I think the first statement is, I love putting people at ease in a room. Like if there's a group of people in the room, I'm the one who naturally puts them at ease. And, I could see someone wanting to be like that, but if you're not like that, then that's totally okay. So just remember
no
that.
Judgment.
Yeah. And it's basically innatemarketinggenius.com/assessment. That's pretty much.
I'm actually going to go do it.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. I will definitely go do it because I'm curious.
Yeah. I can't hear what yours is.
So where can people find you, and any parting thoughts?
Yeah. So, I pretty much gave that one away. So www.innatemarketinggenius.com. And my parting thoughts is, it's really likely that the reason people choose to work with you is not just about your expertise. It's about who you are as a human and what your deepest why is. And a lot of times that's just not incorporated into your marketing. It just isn't. So give yourself a chance to discover that deep why, and then bring it in. We want to hear from you on those levels.
I love that. Yeah, each one of us are special. And if there's a trillion coaches out there, there's still only one of you. So thank you so much, Christina, for taking time to chat with us and for giving such amazing tips and strategies to our listeners to market themselves authentically.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I just loved my conversation with Christina Frei. As a marketer myself, I recognize when I find someone who is uniquely aligned with the role of marketing as a service role. And Christina shares how exploring her own spiritual path and finding and implementing a system, a methodology of giving back, of waking up every day from a place of contributing and from a place of generosity, has not only turned her life around many years ago, but now she applies this to the work she does with her clients in helping them market themselves out authentically. And through her generosity practice, she has helped her clients understand what kind of marketers they are, what kind of givers they are, and then align their actions to their unique way of serving powerfully. So you don't want to miss this interview with Christina.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Masters in Clarity. If you loved today's show, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Share this episode with 2 people in your world, and as a gift, go to mastersinclarity.com/free to download free clarity resources. Join your host, Dolores Hirschmann, next time to continue forging a clear path to your impactful success.